Okay. Hi, Ananya. Uh,
Hello.
it was lovely to watch the trailer of Gehraiyaan yesterday, and
Thank you.
you look amazing. And tell me about the role first. First, we'll start with your impression when you the script landed and you were chosen to do this role. Your reactions, and then we'll take it from there.
I think it's already out there that I hid myself in the bathroom as soon as
Yes.
I heard the script because I was just so overwhelmed, firstly, by the script because it's not like something that we've heard or seen before. I think that I keep saying that we took so long to come up with a title because it's really hard to just give one term to this film because it's really complex, it's complicated, it's an intense modern relationship drama. So that's why I think my first reaction was like, oh my God, like this is really going to be something different. And I was overwhelmed because it was coming from Shagun, who's a director that I really admire and someone who I really wanted to work with. So for
Yeah.
both of these reasons, I had to somehow lock myself in a bathroom.
Mhm.
But there was never a moment of doubt, that's for sure.
Okay. Do you find romance chaotic?
I don't know if I would say chaotic, but it's definitely messy.
Hmm.
And real life is messy,
Yeah.
So is romance. And it should be messy, I feel.
Yeah.
I think the love is in the complication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds like
I'm saying all that. I'm saying all that. Cut to one fight happens in a relationship, and I'm bawling my eyes out.
okay, so you like the chaos, but there's also has to be something after that
I like a Hindi film romance. Just it should have everything basically. So if you want to call that chaos or whatever, I want a Hindi film romance.
in your life. Okay.
Yes.
Have you had a heartbreak and how have you dealt with it?
Of course, I've had a heartbreak. I can't say to what degree and if it's been very serious because I'm still very young. But I like dealing with it again in a very filmy way. I give one day to myself to cry, howl, have ice cream, listen to Arijit Singh songs, and then I'm fine the next day.
Oh, that's good. So, yeah, in Gehraiyaan, because there is a scene, there is conflict.
No, Tia doesn't handle it that way
Yeah,
at all.
yeah, yeah. So, how does Tia handle it? If you can tell us a bit about it.
I mean, you're going to have to see the film to find out, but it's definitely a much more emotionally mature character in that way. I couldn't at any point in this film think how would Ananya react in this situation. It was all Tia, even though there were lots of similarities between myself and Tia as a character. She's still in a much more complex, complicated situation. Yeah.
Okay. Do you, if you look at the title of the film Gehraiyaan, do you seek depth in people that you interact with? Are you okay to have a large number of friends? Need not be.
No, not at all. I mean, it's actually kind of changed, especially in the pandemic, because going into the pandemic, I was like 21 and now I'm 23. But it's changed a lot. First growing up, I thought it was important to have many friends and
Hmm.
have superficial relationships with all of them. I didn't know I was being superficial, but it's not possible to have so many friends and have meaningful connections with all of them.
Hmm.
But the more I'm growing up, I'm realizing the value of just having a few close friends and having those gehraiyaan kind of relationships with them rather than the shallow kind.
Okay. So, what is it? If you meet somebody and you connect with them, do you really get in depth? I mean, if you connect to them, do you get? You play safe, or you are ready to get into that adventure of depth?
Me and safe. I'm the biggest foot in my mouth disorder. I'm a khuli kitab. I tell everyone everything. Like the first time I meet everyone, they know everything about my life, which I definitely need to be careful about this. But it's just the kind of person I am. I'm a very open person. And I think I'm a curious person. My dad used to call me Windows when I was younger because I just wanted to know everything. My eyes were always like, open and observing things. So like, if you meet me, actually, I ask 100 questions. I want to know what you eat in the morning, what you do all day, about your breakups, about your family. I like to go in deep. Like I dive off the deep end.
Okay, so you should be the journalist actually asking these questions.
After this interview, I'll ask you what you ate today and everything.
Yeah. So adventure is something that you enjoy because this film looks like an adventure in the unknown, in the depths, or something like that.
I guess. Yeah, maybe you could call it that.
Yeah. And it also says that the deeper you go, the darker it gets. So how do you define that line?
I feel like it's almost like an onion, you keep peeling it off, and you're just getting deeper till you actually reach the core of something. And I think that's what Gehraiyaan means to me. We have so many personalities and so many facades and masks that we put on, and it keeps coming off and off as soon as you get older, or when you're more comfortable with people, it slowly starts peeling off and coming off. And I think Gehraiyaan to me means the true core of what you are. It could be however ugly, dark, beautiful, light it may be, but the true core and depth of a person, that's probably what it means to me.
Okay. It's also life in the gray, right? So it's
Yeah.
in the gray space, which most of us live in. And yesterday, like Karan said, there is a lot of gray in us that we do not address because we want to be the good, mostly good. We want to show that we are good. We might be. So this entire space of gray, because it has a lot of unstable emotions. It's got jealousy, it could have anger, there could be so many things. Your character, I'm sure, would have gone through that entire zone because the betrayed one is a very strong character there, is what it looks like from the trailer. Like, I haven't seen the film. So did you have to go through workshops and all of that to get into that character?
Of course. As I said, there are a lot of similarities between Tia and I that I could draw from. I may not have been through the depth of emotions that she's been through, but I've definitely felt the things she has, maybe at a more superficial level. So I had to go very inward when it came to this character and draw a lot from myself and kind of face the uncomfortable truth with some situations. But when it came, and I want to give full credit to Shagun because he really held our hand throughout this whole process. We had multiple conversations with him. With each of us, he wanted our insight. He wanted us to borrow from ourselves when it comes to the characters that we were going to play. We did a lot of workshops. We had an intimacy director and an intimacy coordinator on the film, which is a first. And it was required. Intimacy. I think sometimes we mistake it for just the physical, kissing kind of sort of intimacy. But an intimacy can be even just a touch on the shoulder, or it can be a look. There's intimacy between Deepika and I. There's intimacy between Gehraiyaan and I, Sid and I, and then everyone. There's interpersonal relationships going on. So I think that was extremely important, and I'm very happy they pushed us into doing these workshops together because it actually got us closer. Like, the chemistry that we shared can't be faked, it had to be organically built. And over that week of doing workshops, we felt like we were almost in school. We had a whole schedule, this time you have to do this time you have to do that. So it really helped us, trust each other.
Yeah. Did you have to go through, was it an emotionally intense or it drew out a lot of your energy out? How did you recuperate? How did you come back?
Definitely it did a lot of it is emotionally draining doing some of those scenes, but I think at the same time it's extremely liberating also. It's cathartic in a way because as I said, when you're putting a side of yourself out there and you're kind of breaking down all those barriers in front of a camera, you're almost naked in front of the camera, you're emotionally naked in front of the camera. So I think once you break those barriers down, once you get past those inhibitions, then it's very liberating. Like, that's probably the best feeling in the world.
Okay. If you were to look at the film from outside, like a trailer that I saw, it looks like two dysfunctional relationships and one which looks almost perfect, but it's taboo. So how would you look at it?
I think you can't term any of them as functional or dysfunctional. It's all complicated, what is functional, what is dysfunctional, there's complications in everything, there's good in everything, there's bad in everything. I think we chose not to judge anything. I think that's a conscious decision that the film, like Shagun decided to take. And as actors, when we were playing our characters, we didn't want to judge them. We decided to make it more observational. We aren't saying who's right, who's wrong. We would rather the audience come up with their own conclusions, and there isn't a right or wrong answer.
Do you believe in perfect but momentary relationships or forever love?
Forever love.
Okay. And the reason?
Because I've grown up watching that on screen. Like I always say that dharma and cinema has ruined love for me because God knows this if this soulmate exists. But I would like to believe that it does, you know. I'm that's what I meant by saying relationships are messy, but that's the best part because if you're gonna have a lifelong relationship, it's not gonna be a walk in the garden all the time, that's for sure. But you have to find someone who makes the thorns comfortable, I guess.
Yeah, very deep. Okay. Extending the same thing, you shot. Tell me about the entire, process of shooting. And it was water, and it wasn't regular. It wasn't a regular landscape that we're talking about. Are you a water baby? Do you like the sea? Because Siddhant doesn't. That's what we know.
Yeah, Sid pretends like he does. He
Okay.
doesn't actually. Deepika said this really funny thing how he would walk outside her room with a surfboard, and we were like, oh wow, like Sid has learned how to surf, but he was literally just going to pose for his Instagram. But on the contrary, Deepika and I are both water babies. But honestly, water in this film serves more metaphorically rather than physically. We weren't in the water as much as we would like to be, at least Deepika and I.
Okay.
Yeah, but the experience, I mean, I know in the trailer the film seems extremely intense and complicated, which it is. It has that side to it, but the experience was the opposite. It was so much fun. We were enjoying every single day on set. We were always like cracking up, and we all got along really, really well.
Yeah. Tell me about working with Shagun. We've heard a bit about it at the press conference as well, but tell me, working with him as a filmman.
It's been everything that I imagined and more. I've been wanting to work with him since I saw Ek Mein Aur Ek Tu and then Kapoor and Sons, and I was just like so grateful that he thought of me for this part. And he's just the kind of director that, he'll speak to you so much about an idea, and then you kind of start feeling that you were the one who came up with the idea when the whole time he was helping you get to that point. But he'll never take credit for it. He'll be like, oh yeah, Annie, that's a good point. But actually he was leading you there, the whole time. And I think what another quality of his that I really like is that he's not possessive about his script or his dialogues, not just him, but even his co-writer Aisha and Chiku, who did the dialogues. Like they let us explore. We would come in every morning before hair and makeup, and we just block the scene, and he kind of let us do it our way, and then he would reimagine it many times. If he thought of the scene a certain way when he wrote it and then we performed it differently, he was completely open to that. And he would give us so much space in terms of whenever we're ready. He wouldn't like call action, scream action. He would actually go into a little corner with a Shogun. You'd almost not even see him. So I think that and he's completely helped me find my process when it comes to acting.
Okay. And Deepika, of course. That you play cousins in the film.
Yes, we do. Honestly, even in life, we kind of formed a very sisterly relationship in that sense. From the get-go, we didn't know each other too well before we started, but it was extremely warm. And I think that's all credit goes to Deepika there, because she's an extremely warm person with everyone. If you ask any of the cast members or even the crew members, she sets the right tone on set. She never makes anyone feel like they're new. She is very loving, and she shows it. She's one of those kind of people. And just in terms of being in a scene across her, it's just a privilege to play off of her in scenes, because she's such a gifted actor.
What are your favorite films of Deepika?
Definitely Cocktail, because I think when growing up we didn't have too many female characters that were relatable, but then there came Veronica, who wasn't perfect but was so relatable. There was Meera in Love Aajkal, Tara and Tamasha. She's done some. Piku, extremely relatable. And I think by far my favorite would be Alicia in our film.
Yeah. Okay, that's your favorite role of Deepika. Okay. This is the last question. Do you see the emotion of love redefined in the last few years on screen?
I think on screen as well as off screen, at the end of the day, cinema is sort of a reflection of society. Relationships are becoming more fluid, and I think it's between two people to decide what exactly their relationship is. And this film especially has taught me not to be judgmental about how two people choose to be in love. So yeah, I think it's changing in general. I mean, the institution of marriage, a lot of people don't, I believe in it, but a lot of people don't believe in it, and that's okay. So it is definitely changing both on screen and off screen.
You were humming when I started this interview. So do you sing as well, Ananya? I
I
heard.
don't. Yeah. My thing is I'm confident, but I'm not good, which is a bad combination.
Okay. So who decides that, whether you're confident or you're good?
Me.
Right. Looking forward to watch the film. All good luck. And this looks
Thank
like
you so much, ma'am. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Manju.